Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. If you've been following my Koenigsegg mini-series, you would have already seen the stunning Agera RS members only release by Tarmac Works, as well as a CM Models versus Tarmac Works Koenigsegg Jesko comparison video. So today, to keep that hypercar energy going, we're going to be taking a closer look at this light blue Koenigsegg Regera, once again also made by Tarmac Works. That's kind of a recent release that I thought it would be a really nice one to dive into. It's really sleek, it's sophisticated, and it really captures the essence of the real thing in this little 1:64 scale. So let's dive into the details and see how this model holds up next to its high-performance siblings. So starting off with the box itself, you can see we've got a pretty standard kind of tarmac box. It's kind of the usual small ones that everyone's really used to. It's only recently that we've been getting those bigger style boxes like we did with the Agera RS as well as the Jesko. So back to a small size box, and it's kind of a new release. It only came out in the last month or two, and retail price is around about 20-ish or just under £20 or so. So looking at the box, we've got this really cool like blue, almost carbon fiber texture in the background, just says Koenigsegg Regera, and we've got this beautiful artwork on the side of the box that just wraps around the side of the box. It's very typical of Tarmac, and of course just says Regera Global 64, and we've got a little bit of info underneath, and of course, as usual, it's an officially licensed product by Koenigsegg. So let's crack it open. So I've just slightly opened the back of the box here. Let's get it open. So this name Regera, it actually means to reign in Swedish, which is very fitting for a car that blends this kind of luxury with this crazy extreme performance. And there you see the box open and you can see the whole car in its entirety. It looks very cool. It says Koenigsegg in the back. So let's get the car out of there and check that out. That is pretty awesome actually. Let me get the light on there a little bit better for you. Sorry, it's a bit noisy. So we've got this typical like openable blister, kind of flimsy, which is kind of strange, but it is what it is. It's not very important. Let's actually have a look at the car itself, and wow, this color is kind of interesting to say the least. It looks very like highly reflective almost. You can see the amount of flake that's in this color is absolutely insane. Wow, that is really crazy, to be honest. So of course the Regera is a hyper GT, really focused on comfort as well as speed, all in one package. And of the real car, only 80 units were ever built, and all of them were sold out as well. But thankfully in our case, there are quite a bit more than 80 that were made, so it's pretty much widely available, and available in a lot of online shops currently. And straight away, the color is extremely striking. You can see this blue has almost like a silver effect under this heavy light that I'm using. So the blue is an extremely intense color with tons and tons of flake, and you can see how much of a reflection rate this paint actually has. It's very striking and extremely unique, and even on the side section here you can kind of see the way the shadows drop and the way the light lines hit the car, as well as all the highlights in all the different panels. So it's a very striking looking car to start off with, that's for sure. Although it does look kind of simplistic comparing to the Jesko or the Agera RS, for instance, and it's kind of a like smooth looking car for a Koenigsegg. But let's actually dive into the details. And starting off with the roof area, we've got the typical like U-shaped Koenigsegg roof, as well as that clear window just to give you a lot of nice visibility from inside the cockpit or driver's position, I suppose. And then of course we've got this typical Koenigsegg wraparound DLO going all the way from the side of the car into the windscreen and all the way to the other side. and the usual Koenigsegg centrally mounted windscreen wiper as well. Then heading a little bit further down, we've got these black air outlets, so they've got a bit of three-dimensionality, although there's no hole or anything punched through, but it is kind of nicely visible. And then we get to one of the favorite parts of mine in the Regera, which are these three little air intakes there. And I don't know what it is about that, but it almost looks like Alien on this car. I don't know why, but I really love the look of that little feature on this car particularly. So it's a really crazy looking thing. I don't know why I like it so much, but it reminds me of those like old school like Ferrari 250s, and they used to have those like triple slots next to each other, but it's a very cool little touch. And then of course we get into the headlights themselves. So they are three-dimensional, just finished off in black and with this kind of clear acrylic over them. And you can see the amount of crispness that we have in the lines of the car as well. So the way it reflects, you can see that there's a lot of three-dimensionality and attention paid to the actual surfaces of the modeling of this car. So all the way that the light lines fall off, and the way that you've got all the highlights and kind of low lights changing between the car as the light changes. It's really a beautiful piece of surface, to be honest. And then we've got this front split line, very nice and crisp, followed by this tiny Koenigsegg logo just in the center. And then we head into this front intake. It does have a little bit of three-dimensionality, although not too much. It almost looks like there would be a grill in there, but it doesn't. I don't know, it's kind of strange. It's like there's a little bit of texture, but at the same time there isn't any texture. So I think it's supposed to just be plain. But anyways, and then we get to this little aerodynamic element over here. So it's another little intake on the side, but it's very cool because you can see that this line across the bonnet actually follows the curve of the windshield and kind of the side of the car, and that line actually continues into that intake, which then comes around and wraps around to the side of the car. So it's a very nice little feature just to continue the lines of the car. And then of course we've got a small lip in the center, and then we've got these large kind of side splitters finished off in this crazy looking gloss black. It almost looks like it has a little bit of like a metallic flake in it, which is a very interesting kind of touch. And then we've got two more intakes on either side. Quite a lot of three-dimensionality, but I don't really see any grille structure in there, although it does have a little bit of interesting reflections. And then of course we come to these front canards, which are kind of painted in an obscure manner. To see, this one is correct, so it's pretty much just the canard that's painted over there, but this one's got quite a lot of paint overhanging underneath, so that's a little bit of a QC oversight, but at this scale it's kind of tough to see those sort of things. And then we've got this little side kind of indicators there as well, just on the side of the body, and we've got this tiny little air outlet just in front of the wheels as well. And now we head into these front wheels. So you can see we've got these really silver style wheels, and it's actually an 11 spoke, which is a pretty irregular number of spokes to have. Usually cars have like 5 commonly, 6, 7, 8, 10. They usually go in paired kind of numbers, but 11 is not really divisible by anything. So it's kind of an interesting looking wheel to have. It looks kind of good on the side of the box here. It looks really interesting, and you can see it has a little bit of like holes in the center there as well, although here those holes aren't really quite visible. So it just looks like a pretty solid looking silver rim, and there's also not much depth to the wheels either, so not really any like concave even on the rear wheels. And of course that would be for the aerodynamics of the car, so it's got a kind of flat wheel. But to be honest with you, the wheels roll really well, but I'm not really a huge fan of these wheels. I think black wheels would look quite a lot better on the Regera. And just to show you, they have a really awesome 3-spoke for the Regera, and I have a 1:87 scale, and you can see how much smaller this scale is. It's really tiny. This one is made by Avon Style, but you can see it's also blue Regera, but it's got these crazy looking organic style 3 spokes, and they just look absolutely insane, and it really helps give it this like almost outer world kind of aesthetic to the car. You can see it's how like alien this car looks. It really is super epic, and I think these would really be the wheels to do this Tarmac Works variation like a good look as well. And you can see how beautiful the color is on this car as well. Maybe I should do some 187 reviews, although I don't really have enough 1-87 cars, but the modeling on this Avon Style is just absolutely remarkable. So yeah, great job to them as well. But anyways, let's head back to the Tarmac. So here we go. So of course we've got these wheels to continue, but once again in typical Tarmac style, no brake rotors and no calipers to be seen. It's a real shame. I really wish they did it. I don't think it would be too tough. Even if they don't make the rotors spin, it would still be a nice little added extra just to model it in there and just have it protrude behind the wheel. I think it wouldn't be too difficult to achieve, but that's just one of those things, unfortunately, that we get, you know. But nonetheless, let's continue. So beautiful execution of the shut lines on this car. You can see that the paint really hasn't washed out any of the shut line areas, and really well executed. And you can see how beautifully the light kind of bounces off all these 3-dimensional surfaces, and really a lot of attention to detail in these surfaces as well. And here you can see that quite well with this insane air intake here. It sweeps kind of into the car all the way from almost the front of the door shuts, and it goes kind of deep in the car there as well. And if I can zoom in, then you can see that there is quite a lot of 3-dimensionality in this piece, and it's really deep, to be honest. So I thought it would just execute kind of abruptly, but it's actually kind of deep in there, and that gives it a really nice amount of 3-dimensionality in this piece. And now heading to the side skirt. Once again, it's finished off in this black, and you can see on the bottom of this car that this black color is really more of a kind of graphite finish, and that is a very unique little thing rather than just the standard black. I think it gives it a lot of interest, and you can see it's the same color in the side intakes as well, and I think it gives it a lot of unique character to the car. I really like that point. And then of course we've got a little Regera logo just in front of the rear wheels as well, just finished off in a black, and it's got really nice detail actually. And once again, a lot of great 3-dimensionality in all the shapes and the shut lines as well. And you can see how beautifully the light lines hit off this car, especially in this rear haunch area, as well as this B pillar, C pillar kind of area. It's really got a lot of 3-dimensionality. You can see from the back here as I move the car around what an exquisite look this car actually has. It's really insane. And look at the 3-dimensionality just near this rear haunch as well, the way it swoops all the way from the back all the way to the front of the car. And you can see this line actually indexing that front intake over there as well. It's really a beautiful piece of machinery, and I really like the fact that it looks so organic at the same time, which is, I think, another reason why a more organic kind of looking wheel would have really helped this car as well. But let's jump into this rear area. So we've got some air outlets over there, once again with the reflectors and indicators on the side. And then we've also got some air outlets on the top section of the rear fender. Coming to the rear of the vehicle, you can see what a crazy look this entire rear has. So it's like the entire body color essentially wraps around this rear mask, which is just finished off in the same kind of graphite black as the underneath of the car, as the rest of the features are. And you can see that the rear lights are kind of hidden in this black masked off area. So the rear lights themselves are modeled into the metal itself, so there are no separate three-dimensional acrylic pieces or any extra elements. So that's a little bit of a shame, but to be honest, it's a real struggle, or it would be a real struggle to model those and actually slot them in there, because it's such a tight little section. It's absolutely crazy. And then in the center, we've just got this nice little Regera logo on the number plate. And we've got a really beautiful exhaust over here, just finished off in this kind of like grayish color, gray blue. And that's a really cool little piece to add, especially with that black center. It looks very, very menacing and very hardcore right in the middle there. And then we've also got a little Koenigsegg logo just above there as well. And of course, this massive diffuser heading from just kind of the midpoint of the rear wheels as well. And now we come to this beautiful rear wing, and of course, in true Koenigsegg fashion, they have to do something completely insane. It's not enough that it's a hypercar and a Koenigsegg, but you can see the wing looks actually kind of peculiar, and that is because the Regera's rear wing is a fully active piece of engineering, and it's also hydraulically operated, and it's just like the front and rear ride height systems. And what's also really unique is that it's the first fully robotic foldable active rear spoiler, and it has no external hydraulic lines, and all the mechanisms are internally mounted, and it's really good for this kind of clean aesthetics. You can see on this model where it's just fully closed up like that, it all kind of folds in there. And this main centerpiece wing lifts and tilts to create downforce during crazy high-speed driving, as well as for the braking as well. And in addition to that, we've also got these two small like side-mounted winglets that pivot outwards, and that assists with fine-tuning the airflow and the stability of the car. It's a really rare design choice even among these hypercars, and it creates a really subtle but really functional like three-piece active aero system, and that enhances the high-speed stability as well as reducing drag. And you can see in terms of design, it actually continues the design of the rear wing, and it kind of folds back on itself, and it's peculiar and it's absolutely insane at the same time, and that is just an amazing piece of engineering. And then heading to the rear deck, we've got a nice little Regera logo as well as an air intake, and I'm happy to report that it has quite a lot of three-dimensional depth. It almost looks like it goes into the car. Of course, we can't actually see any detail on the inside, but it is a very three-dimensional section over there. Then typically we've got the little Ghost Squadron logo on the back, as well as the little rear window where you could see out for the driver. And then of course on the other side it's pretty much the same story. And then now heading into the interior of the car, similar to the Jesko model I reviewed. Unfortunately, the interior is extremely dark and just finished off in this black finish. So we do have a lot of detail here. You can see the gauge cluster, all the center consoles, as well as the little passenger side there as well. But because it is so dark and finished off in black, it's kind of tough to give you a nice look in the car. You see that it's got a little rear view mirror, and we've got some typical Koenigsegg seats in there, and you can see that they've got quite a lot of bolster around the sides as well. And even the dashboard here by the gauges, it's really well modeled. Unfortunately, it is extremely dark in there, so very tough to see. I don't really see any Koenigsegg logo or anything like that on the interior though. It's very, very dark. And now under this more dynamic lighting, you can actually see how beautiful the surfaces of this car are and how well crafted Tarmac Works has nailed the overall design of this car. Of course, as mentioned before, it looks kind of organic, and I really love that. And one of the reasons it looks so organic is because it's essentially sculpted by speed. So this car is powered by a 5-liter twin-turbo V8 as well as 3 electric motors, and it produces a combined horsepower of 1,500. And it also uses Koenigsegg's direct drive system. Instead of a traditional type of gearbox, it actually allows the car to seamlessly accelerate from 0 to 400 kilometers an hour in under 20 seconds. And I mean, you can see that in this car. It's absolutely insane and an absolute masterpiece. I think it's a great work that Tarmac Works have allowed us to have another little Koenigsegg for us to admire. And of course, talking about the color itself, I think this blue is a really striking color, and I think I really like this kind of single tone colors for the Regera, especially to show off all these kind of sculptural surfaces. But once again, only personal opinion is I would have gone with a different kind of wheels, or perhaps just even a different color. I usually like to have quite a lot of contrast with the wheels and the bodywork, and this all looks a little bit too like silvery metallic in my opinion. But let me know, are these the wheels you would go for, or would you go for some other ones? And what do you think of this model? Would you be grabbing one of these? They are pretty widely available at the moment, so if you're a true Koenigsegg fan, I'd say it's definitely one of the cool ones to get. And of course, if you haven't already, then check out my last review on the Tarmac Works Agera RS as well, which is just over here. This one is the TWOC, it's the members model only, and it's a real beauty and just shows how well Tarmac Works have been working on their Koenigsegg's. And I also featured this insane looking Jesko, once again by Tarmac Works, and that video is featuring a CM model comparison as well. And then I also have some CC850s finished in orange as well as silver. So I've got almost the whole collection of Koenigsegg. So if you're a huge Koenigsegg and Hypercar fan and you want to see more of these kind of 164 review videos, and you've enjoyed this one, please press like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Thanks for watching everybody, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take it easy. Ciao.